Hi guys, welcome to Super Belle Sews. My name's Sarah. Thanks for joining me today. I'm finally here on a Friday again. It's been so long, and I'm really excited to update you on lots of things that have been going on this week, and some things that I've made, and some things that I've photographed, and some things that I've mended, and all sorts of other things. So first up, what am I wearing? This is the Toaster Sweater by Sew House 7. It's in, I think it's called like a reclaimed wool knit fabric from Fabric Godmother that I spoke to you about previously. This is the whole outfit I'm wearing actually. I'm wearing a nice gathered skirt as well. This is an outfit I spoke to you about a while ago. I made a burgundy toaster sweater and a gathered skirt, like celestial print. And I wore it loads, so I wanted to have another version of that outfit, which is this. So I took some pictures of it today. So have a look at the full outfit. The only changes I made, so to the toaster sweater pattern, I did the same adjustment. So I doubled the depth of the turtle collar. And I also left off the band at the waist, because on my other one that got quite bulky around there with this sort of chunkier knit fabric. Really chuffed with it, really chuffed. The gathered skirt I used, it's a self-drafted gathered skirt, really simple. Flat front waistband with an elasticated back waistband. The difference this time is that I used just 3 gathered panels rather than 4, and the skirt's a bit longer. But I think the effect is sort of similar. There's plenty of volume. So that's one outfit that I've managed to actually photograph properly this week. I also have managed to photograph a couple of the things that I made for Scotland that weren't photographed there for various reasons. So first up, there's my Upton pinafore dress. So I'll pop a picture of that here. This is made in a wool coating from Jenny Stitches, and it's also fully lined with just like a standard lining fabric from Jenny Stitches. Most of you will know that the Cashmere Upton dress has loads of different views. I just used the pattern for the bodice, and I used the sleeveless option, the darted bodice, and the square neckline. It has umpteen different options, but it gave what I felt was more of the pinafore kind of feel. And then I self-drafted a skirt. A lot of the skirts in the Upton pattern involve a lot of fabric, and I usually get to that point and realise I don't have enough left. So I just made my own pleated skirt where I used the full width of the fabric and then pleated it down to size, and that way I use pretty much all of the fabric that I have, rather than running short or having loads left over or having to do weird things. The reason I didn't get to photograph this in Scotland is because I didn't actually wear it in Scotland. It had an invisible zip, and the first time Nathan zipped me into it, the zip broke. And it's been sat on my to mend pile. And the other day I finally bought an exposed gold metal zip. And I actually took the time to unpick the old zip and put the new one in. Unheard of. But I'm so glad I did, because A, it's been a lovely dress. I've been wearing it all week. But also I think the exposed zip actually adds quite a nice design detail, which is great. And it's just so much more, you know, with the invisible zips, they just can be, sometimes they're all right and sometimes they're like dodgy. Yeah, and I think in something like that where it's quite fitted in the bodice, you just want to know it's it's up, it's done, you're in, everything's great. So yeah, so I hope you enjoy the pictures of that. I'm really pleased with how that has turned out. I think the Upton is just so versatile as a pattern. And they've released, I can't remember what it's called now, but they've released like the knit version of the Upton, in that it's got loads of different options, skirt options, sleeve options, neckline options, but it's for knit fabric. That might be on my Christmas list. Yeah, it's just such use when you're looking and you're thinking, I want to make a dress like this, which pattern can I use? Invariably, you can sort of alter the Upton to make it work. So yeah, I love it. Okay, so there was that. And then today I also photographed the Sicily slip dress. Now this is by a brand called By Mason. And there are things I love about it, and there are some things I want to change. So this pattern is one where I went in being like, this might really suit me, or it might not suit me at all. And it came together really quickly. It's a really nice, fun sew. I'll pop a picture here. So the neckline, there are different options for the straps. There are thicker straps or there are these spaghetti straps. And I think the spaghetti straps just look a bit nicer. You've got this gorgeous sort of, is it a cowl neckline it's called? Like a draped neckline, which is just stunning. Now, I think I need to do two things when I make this next time. I think I need to do a little full bust adjustment, but also there's like a facing. And for me, where the facing ended was like right at the midpoint of the boobs, which means like at my broadest point is where the sort of line is. And obviously that's a point where there's normally a bit of pressure against the fabric. So you can see the bottom of the facing through the fabric. And that really annoyed me because I really like the dress actually, but it's just a bit too messy around the bust area. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make another one at some stage and I'm going to elongate. I need to measure. It'll be by several inches. I'm going to elongate the facing so that the end of it comes like under bust where you won't see it so much. I did consider the binding, but because of the nature of the sort of cowl draped neckline, I don't think it would work because you need it to be able to fold over to create that effect. Yeah, but otherwise I really liked the fit. I wasn't sure if it would cling to me too much, but it really didn't. Like I felt like the shape flowed over my waist and hips. So I really liked the fit there. And I love the little strap things. I thought they were really super cute. And I think there's a lot of potential in that pattern. I've just got to fiddle around to get the fit right. It's got barely any pattern pieces. You have to cut it on the bias. And fortunately I was able to cut it out when we were up visiting my parents, and so I could lay it out on their breakfast bar and get the diagonal cut. I don't know how I would have done that here, no idea. But no, I was really chuffed with that actually. And yeah, as I said, I think there's potential with a couple of tweaks. I think I can make it really wearable. The fabric is a crepe back satin or a satin backed crepe, depending how you look at it, from Jenny Stitch's fabrics as well. It's in a shade called Lipstick, which is just this gorgeous red colour. I think because obviously it's a satin with a crepe back or vice versa, it's like a lot sturdier than many satins you might work with. So it's actually quite easy to get along with. I did have some trouble. So initially I hemmed it and the hem was super twisty. I just could not get it to play ball. So I ended up just chopping the hem off and the fabric doesn't fray. So I've just cut the edge at the bottom of the skirt. And I might at some point decide to hem it again, but as things stand, I think it looks sort of fine as it is. They have some really gorgeous other colourways of that as well. I think like a cobalt blue and like a silver and stuff like that. So Jenny's got some really lush colourways for that fabric. Yeah, so those are the things I've been photographing. I made a couple of tops. I had a bit of a weird experience last week. I think I mentioned to you I was supposed to be doing a photo shoot and I'd made a couple of things because she'd requested certain tops. Now, I'm not going to name the brand. It's not one of the... it's not a brand that I had made anything from or was really aware of before they approached me. But I think it just wasn't... It's my only time where I've had a sort of photo shoot, pre-photo shoot experience that hasn't been great. And I just think... Yeah, I won't go into details, but it's like, I think in future I'm going to stick to brands. I think it's flattering to be asked by somebody, but when I looked at the design, it's not something that I would make or wear because I don't think it would suit me, which it didn't. But also I just think I just think you need to interact more with the brand in order for them to sort of know what you're about and for you to know what they're about and to know that it's a good fit. And this is the only time where I haven't had that relationship before. And yeah, was not good. So that is not happening anymore. But no hard feelings, do you know what I mean? But I did make a couple of tops to wear as underlayers because she'd asked me to make them. Well, she didn't ask me to make them. She said she wanted tops in certain colours and I didn't have any. So I have made these. I used the Billy pattern for both of these. This is the front and back. This little cropped tee situation with 3/4 length sleeves. Now this fabric is a gorgeous, I think it's Stuff of Denmark jersey that I purchased from First Fabrics earlier in the year. And I've never sewn with one of their jerseys before, and it is so nice. It's like super stable. The colours are really vivid. It feels gorgeous to wear. It was really easy to sew up. It was just like, it behaved impeccably. 100% would sew with Stoff of Denmark jersey again. And it's this lovely pink floral print. The light's a bit funny here, but it's more of a sort of like a fuchsia-y pink than I think it's showing up on the screen. So I made that using Billy straight sleeve option, and then I just cropped the length myself. And then I also made this velvet number, also cropped, also using the Billy pattern, except this time I used the puff sleeves, but I shortened them and I made my own little hem band for the sleeves. And again, it's cropped, so it's an underlayer, definitely. It's made out of a stretch velvet, also from First Fabrics, but I purchased this one online. And again, I mean, it's a bit annoying when you rush to make things and then they end up not being used for that purpose, but these are both things that I can wear, and they came together really quickly. Again, the Billy pattern, I think, is really versatile. I use it to make sweaters, I use it to make t-shirts, I use it to make this nice velvet top. Do you know what I mean? I think when you find a good basic silhouette for you, yeah, you can just be quite imaginative with what you do for it. So those are what I have been making and photographing and everything else this week. My main plan for the next week and a bit is to try and sort out the Fabric Godmother peony dress. I have a christening. I've got another godchild number 3, has their christening next weekend, and I'm hoping to make the peony dress in this gorgeous Fabric Godmother viscose jacquard, which I'm just obsessed with. But yeah, I've heard very mixed things about the fitting of the bodice. They only have one, so it's got a good size range, but I think it's all on the same block. And obviously a lot of plus size people don't necessarily fit very well into a straight sized block. So there aren't that many examples of plus size people making it. And the ones who have told me it's taken like a lot of work to get a good fit. So I have cut out my pattern pieces. I'm going to start off, I've already graded between sizes, and I'm going to do a full bust adjustment. Then I'm going to make a toile of the bodice and the sleeves. I'm going to see where that's at. More than one person have told me it took a couple of toiles. So I'm going to see where that's at with those adjustments. I'm hoping I don't have to do anything too major from there, that it might be little things and that then I can get into the good fabric. But we'll see. So that's what I'm going to be working on this week. I also wanted to show you a couple of bits of fabric I purchased and some patterns I purchased in some Black Friday sales as well. So I was having a bit of a bad day the other day, and I was in town and I thought I'm going to pop into Fabricland in Kingston, which, I don't know if you've ever been. It's got really good prices. A decent selection. I actually wanted some sweatshirting and they didn't have any. They didn't have any French terry or anything, but I did buy a couple of other things. So you might have seen my other vlog earlier in the week about the new book by Jenny Rushmore from Cashmerette, which is Sewing the Curve. And there is a pattern in that, a skirt pattern that requires wool, and I'm really keen to have a go at making it. And they had this lovely wool in Fabricland, and it was something like £6 a metre or something. So it was really, it might have been £6.99 a metre. It's really thick. I'll show you the underside if I can. So it's sort of the same, pretty much the same on both sides. Yeah, it is the same on both sides. It's really, really thick, like heavy duty wool fabric. And I've got enough. The skirt's a wrap skirt, so it's one of those where it takes quite a lot of fabric because obviously wrap it around yourself. But I might have enough left to make a little matching top. Dunno. But so I purchased that. And also, you may remember that I had requested some stretch velvet from Minerva as part of the brand ambassador program in order to make the Sew Over It Portia dress. And it turned up and it's stunning, but it has barely any stretch in it, so it's not suitable. So the other thing I purchased was some lovely stretch fabric from Fabricland. This, so it's gold. You can see it's like a sort of crackly gold effect, suitably understated as always. It's got I don't know how well you can see. It's got like a black background underneath the gold. And it looks quite bright on the screen, but it's sort of like a, how would you describe it? Like a sort of duller gold in real life. But yeah, I just thought, again, it was really reasonably priced. I think it was £5, £6 a metre, again, really cheap. So I was just like, I'm going to get this, and then I can make a nice Christmassy Portia dress, because I really do want to make one for Christmas. And I can suss the fit out because neither of these fabrics are really expensive, so I can sort of afford to have a play around with a couple of new patterns. So those are the fabrics I purchased. And then I also have purchased some new patterns, and I'm just waiting for them to be delivered. I have all of my patterns printed by Jenny. She does A0 printing. And yeah, so I thought I'd just talk you through the ones I purchased. So there are 3 that I've had an eye on from True Bias, and they've been doing a sale for Black Friday where the percentage discount you get is more for each pattern you buy, basically. So I went on initially with a plan to just buy 1, and then I ended up buying 3. So they were all ones that I've had my eye on, but I was like, no, I'm just going to get this one. And then I ended up with all 3. But I have no regrets, to be honest. So the one I initially went on for was I think it's their latest release, the Blair skirt, which I'll pop a picture of here. Excuse me, I have notes down here to check the sizes and everything. So all of the True Bias patterns come from size 0 to 32, and they're sold in 2 separate brackets. So I think it's 0 to 18 and then 14 to 32. And they are, each pattern is done on a different block. So if you're somewhere in the middle, you probably want to look at which block fits you the best. So how busty you are and all the other stuff. So the Blair skirt is a straight cut skirt, and it has button front, belt loops. It's got an optional belt that you can add, and pockets are optional as well. They're called inverted front pockets. It comes in different lengths: mini, midi, and maxi length. And this is also lined. Now, I wasn't sure about this one, and then I saw Preya on Instagram, whose Instagram handle has escaped me, but I will put below. She made a version in sort of, I think it was black corduroy, and it looked so good. And her and my body type, we've chatted a bit online before, we have quite a similar body type, so I just thought it looked so good on her, and so I was like, no, I need to make this skirt. I need to do it. So, and I've got quite a bit of corduroy, and I think I'm going to make a jacket at some point, but I was looking for sort of something else to make. Yeah, just love the look at it. So I'll pop some pictures here. Again, a bit different to my normal style, but I think it will elevate what I'm doing, which is good. I then went for the Laura dress, which again, I've admired and ummed and ahed over for ages. It has this lovely button down front. I think they're called like loop buttons and shank, or loops and shank buttons or something. So it's got this lovely button down front, empire waist, under bust gathers. It also has a spaghetti strap option or a sort of balloon sleeve option. And there are 2 lengths. There's an above the knee, like a shorter dress, and then there's just an above the ankle one as well. This is labelled as an intermediate pattern. It's got quite a lot going on. And I think I've never done those loop buttons before. I need to look at how they're done in the pattern, because I've done the ones like thread loops, which I have a sort of love-hate relationship with. Tilly and the Buttons have a really good tutorial on it, but I just don't love doing it. But do I want to be turning through the teeniest little loops in the world? Probably not either. Maybe I haven't thought this through. But anyway, I have a lot of viscose and stuff like that, and I just think I often struggle to find the right patterns to use those fabrics for. So I thought this one would be lovely. Probably one I'm going to save for when the weather gets a bit better. But I thought may as well buy it now. And then also the Riley overalls. Now, these are a really classic overall design. Again, comes in 2 lengths. There's the full length trousers, and then there's like a little cute short version. It has a bib, patch pockets, belt loops, a faux fly. So it's got loads going on. I am still on the hunt for the perfect dungaree pattern. I've so far made the Helen's Closet Yanta overalls. I've made the Tilly and the Buttons Erin dungarees, and then this is my 3rd attempt. Now, there are elements I've loved in both of those. So I like the top half of the Tilly and the Buttons Erin's. Like, I like the little tie-up shoulders, but the waist does not sit it's like a sort of slightly dropped waist, and I just don't think that suits me particularly. I also quite liked the Yantas, although they were just a bit too, they were quite boxy fit on me. So this is my third attempt. I've been eyeing up the Rileys for a while. I'm going to give them a go. It might be that I have to take elements of each pattern to make my perfect dungaree pattern. I don't know, but yeah. And then the last pattern I've purchased is by Itch to Stitch. It's called the Andy's Jacket pattern, and it is specially designed to make a coat out of soft shell fabric. Now, I made the Sew Over It Dorothy jacket out of soft shell a while ago, and I loved working with soft shell. It was super easy. So that's when you have sort of a water resistant fabric on one side and like a fluffy soft fabric on the other. And I loved it, but I had to put these, what are they called? Those like metal buttons that you have to hammer in. And I just had a nightmare with them. And some of them, it's the poppers and stuff. And it was, some of them stayed in, some of them didn't stay in, some of them got warped. It was just, it ended up being that I just barely wore the jacket because there was so much faff with the poppers. And I found it really difficult to find a waterproof coat pattern with a zip that's size inclusive. It's been like, and that's all I've wanted. I just want to zip up the front, you know what I mean? And a hood would be nice. And Itch to Stitch have released this jacket. It has a lined hood. It's made for soft shell, so you don't have to line it. It has a zip, it has zip pockets, has some nice princess seams. It's got a great size range from 00 to size 40, with cup size options as well. Just really, really good. So I was really excited to get that, and I've requested from Minerva for my next month fabric, a soft shell fabric. So I'm going to be making that coat. So I've ordered that pattern as well. So yeah, that's everything that's been happening. I feel like I'm getting a bit of my Sojo back. Post-wedding, I was feeling a bit like, I don't really know what to focus on. And now I feel like I've got some projects on the go. I've got some things I'm a bit excited about trying. So yeah, I'll hopefully have a bit more to share with you more frequently now, which is great. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'd love to know what you're working on, if you've got anything fun. Are you on Christmas sewing now? Are you still feeling like a bit autumnal? I feel like mentally a bit behind on the Christmas thing because obviously the wedding like took up so much of my headspace that I feel like autumn sort of hasn't happened. Yeah, anyway, that's it from me. Have a great week. See you next time.